a new fabulous month, August. It's my birthday month. And I have already started celebrating. Um, I started celebrating 2 days ago. Yes, honey, yes, I did. A little bit of dancing, a lot of writing. I just finished up. Hope you're having a good day today. I just finished up writing about the 12 houses. Before I go into finishing up what I was working on yesterday with you all, um, in regards to inhumane, is what I was talking about. And in regards to the campaign for Kamala and the presidential election coming up, and then also touched on Donald Trump a little bit, and then a few other sensitive matters I touched on as well. So yesterday I started off with a phone call to Ivana, a phone call to Sonya Massey, a phone call to uh, individuals who died in civil rights movement, women's movement, LGBTQIA movement. And then the last phone call I placed was with Francesco. So I just finished my artwork because I did type this up. Before I go to it, please stop spreading false information. That popped up on my timeline. I said, this is just ridiculousness at its finest. Long story short, because I'm not going to go into it, it's fake news. Um, I guess the people who published it are notorious for publishing things that kind of, I guess, resonate with people, and even if it's fake. And they were making a skit, but it was based off of the incident that happened with Sonya Massey and um, the grandmother behaving in a way we still want society structure. That's all I'm going to say about that in regards to Pauline Brown, um, the fake news. So we do still want some structure in the world. We can't just go around because we feel like it um, and handle things in such a manner that was stated in her report. Okay, wisdom, wisdom, wisdom. Let me go to the articles real quick. Ever in my 30-some years of being on. I ain't got time. All right, let's see. I hope the month has started off well for you. Let's see. So, real quick, while I'm bringing up the article so I can go over the rest of the second article with you, I just finished up writing about the 12 houses, and I ended up doing songs on all 12 houses to make them easy to memorize while I was studying. So, I have gone ahead and I've already placed that on sale on Etsy. My mom said take an Uber home because it's raining real bad. The name of the album is called Planetary Vibrations. The 12 houses. So my vocal media page just got approved. Real quick, and I have an introduction song, so Houses of the Zodiac, Bridging the Gap, because it's important for you to know astrology, period. Celestial Blueprint, the first house. And I talk a little bit about that song. All the songs that I wrote up, I did make sure to include musical arrangement ideas and sound elements, a few vocal arrangements, and style suggestions. And just to give you an idea, first house self, I named the song First House Rising. Second house, possessions and values. The second song is called Second House Stacks. See, hear, taste, smell, touch, and receive stacks. Third house is communication and learning. Third house energy, creating a masterpiece is what I named that. Fourth house, home and family. I named that song Fourth House Harmony. Fifth house, creativity and romance. I named that the Fifth House of Funky Fun. Sixth house, work and health. I named that Sixth Health, Heart Health House. Seventh house, partnerships and relationships. I named it Seventh Harmonious House of Love. Eighth house, transformation and shared resources. I named that Naked in Eighth House. And absolutely, it's scrumptious. Ninth house, philosophy and travel. I named that 9, Dancing on Jupiter. 10th house, career and public life. I named that house 10, Savor the Moments. 11th house, friendships and aspirations. I named that Electric House, 11 Dreams. 12th house, subconscious and solitude. I named that Whispers in House 12, 12 Abyss. As far as genres, we've got celestial, pop, rock, gospel, R&B, neo-soul, rap, hip-hop, ambient chill out, upbeat pop, rock, funk, lo-fi chill hop, R&B, soul, dark wave, electronic, world beat, global fusion, orchestral cinematic, experimental electronic, ethereal ambient. So I have named what I have for each of those, but whoever the artist is that purchases it, of course, it's just an idea for creative exploration. They can always blend or modify them to suit whatever artistic vision they have when they purchase. And of course, a contract would be signed. So those are your 12 houses in case you were interested in what your 12 houses were or did not know or were not aware. Okay, let's see. Hello, Zay Divine. Okay. And to answer your question, I most certainly did. I'm probably not finished. So for what I'm about to read you from Article 2, for what I didn't finish yesterday, I just did the artwork, so I'm going to upload it real quick. Injustice, negation of humanity, horrific treatment, unimaginable suffering, exploitation, manipulation, abuse, normalization of cruelty, erasure of identities and culture. Covers Kamala Harris, Donald Trump, Sonya, Massey, and more. All right. So yesterday we left off at we talked about dehumanization. We talked about African religion. We talked about the spiritual practices. We talked about Black femicide. And we were just going into the rest of the economic enslavement impact. Okay, so just to give you an overview, brief overview, the economic enslavement impact, Black femicide, racism, colorism, self-hate, and how it's affected the economy in general. So let's just start there, and then we're going to do some time traveling. I like time traveling. Okay. We'll just hop into the time travel machine. Okay. So, Black femicide, high rates of violence and murder against Black women and girls, lack of media attention and public outcry, limited access to resources and support for survivors, intersectional impact in regards to racism, Xism, and classism. And then racism, systemic and institutionalized discrimination, economic disparities, wealth gap, employment, education, health disparities, access to healthcare, maternal mortality, criminal justice disparities, incarceration rates, police brutality, colorism, discrimination based on skin tone within the Black community, lighter skin privilege, access to resources, opportunities, darker skin stigma, negative stereotypes, limited representation, internalized colorism, self-hate, self-doubt. Self-hate, internalized racism and oppression, negative self-image, hair, skin features, lack of self-love and self-acceptance, mental health impacts, depression, anxiety, and low self-esteem. A lot of that going around. Let's keep going. Economic impacts, wealth gap, limited to education, job resources, which we mentioned previously. And then we also talked about employment disparities and healthcare disparities and education disparities. Except, since that time, even though there's still a great deal of racism and colorism, in regards to slavery, instead of enslaving one person or race, they've learned to enslave all of humanity. Really? Yeah. The whole entire of humanity. What's off to me is that some people still feel entitled. They don't feel they're enslaved when they are, in fact, enslaved. Okay.
The library will be closing in 15 minutes. Public computers will shut down automatically 5 minutes before closing. If you have any materials to be checked out, please take them to the circulation desk at this time. If you need assistance finding materials, please come to the information desk.
The issues are interconnected and perpetuate each other, leading to ongoing systemic oppression and economic disparities. Addressing these issues require a comprehensive approach that involves education and awareness, policy changes and advocacy, community support and empowerment, economic investment, and opportunities. Time travel. Okay, look at our time travel machine. I like the time travel machine. Okay, let's close our eyes and we're going to just teleport mentally there. We're going to take a trip through galaxies. Yeah, I can feel it. Can you feel it? I can feel it. Okay. So yesterday, I wanted to talk to Francisco Felix de Sousa. In the previous video, I gave a little bit about his history. And then I also talked about African leaders in kingdoms that had the slave trade. So I told Afterlife I wanted to ask Francisco some questions. Afterlife. Energy located. He is here. Here he is. Hello, D'Souza. You were the first person I learned about when educated on my own, selling out my own. Thank you for agreeing to meet. Is there anything I can do to make you more comfortable during your interview while I ask you a few questions? Perhaps a refreshing glass of cold ice water. Something people in a man-made concocted Christianity hell that you would not have access to. The time-lapse review. Well, today is August 1st, but when I wrote it, it was July 31st. Today is July 31st, 2024. In case not aware, I will fill you in on history. The transatlantic slave trade lasted for approximately 400 years from the 15th century to the 19th century. 1444, Portuguese capture and transport the first enslaved African to Europe 580 years ago. 1619, first enslaved Africans arrived in the English colonies at Jamestown, Virginia 405 years ago. 1807, British abolition of the slave trade 217 years ago. 1863, Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Abraham Lincoln 161 years ago. 1865, slavery officially abolished in the United States with the 13th Amendment 159 years ago. Note that these dates mark significant milestones, but slavery and its legacy continue to impact communities worldwide. In 2024, we acknowledge the ongoing struggles and resilience of Black communities, honoring the past while working towards a more equitable future. These movements have forced significant resistance, violence, and marginalization. The struggles are interconnected, and the fight for equality and justice continues. To acknowledge this, we can consider the following timelines that I mentioned. 1444 to 1865, transatlantic slave trade and slavery, 421 years. 1865 to 1950s, Reconstruction, Jim Crow era, and racial segregation, 85 to 100 years. 1950s to 1960s, Civil Rights Movement, 10 to 20 years. 1960s to present, ongoing struggles for women's rights, LGBTQIA rights, and racial justice, 50 to 60 years. This extended timeline recognizes the continuous efforts to address systemic oppression and fight for equality, justice, and human rights. We are 100 days away from selecting VP Kamala Harris as president. She is of mixed heritage, Indian and African American, and would be the first female president. These are my questions, D'Souza. Why did you see, number one, why did you see us as less than human, worthy of enslavement? Number two, how did you justify the brutal treatment and separation of families? Number three, did you ever consider the long-term effects of your actions on our communities and descendants? Number four, were you aware of the rich cultures, traditions, and contributions of the people you enslaved? Number five, how did you reconcile your actions with your own humanity and moral principles? Personal accountability and impact. Number one, how much did you benefit financially or socially from the slave trade, and was it worth the cost to our lives? Number two, how did you view our resistance, rebellions, and attempts to escape or fight back? Number three, did you think about the legacy of slavery and its ongoing impacts on our lives today? Reconciliation and healing. Number one, would you do things differently if you had the chance, and what would you change? Number two, how can we as descendants of enslaved people work towards healing and reconciliation? The impact of VP Kamala Harris's presidency. One, how would you reconcile your role in enslaving Africans with the fact that a Black woman, a descendant of enslaved people, could become president of the United States? Number two, would you have ever imagined that a mixed heritage Black woman would rise to such a position of power given the systems of oppression you contributed to? And we know how some of the ladies are treated, not so much as they used to, in Africa, okay? Number three, how do you think your actions and those of other slave traders have impacted the journey of Black women like VP Harris to the presidency? Number four, would you acknowledge the historical significance of VP Harris's presidency as a milestone in the ongoing struggle for racial and gender equality? Number five, How do you think your legacy and that of other slave traders should be reevaluated in light of VP Harris's achievement? This revised list covers the essential questions, ensuring a comprehensive and thought-provoking conversation with Francisco Felix de Sosa. Exploration, motivations and belief, understanding of African cultures and societies, treatment of enslaved people on plantations and in daily life, role in perpetuating systemic racism and oppression, regrets or remorse, if any, perspective on the transatlantic slave trade's history and its impact. Now remember, between yesterday and today, because the title is called Grave Secrets, remember, this is a hypothetical scenario and that people who sold your ancestors into slavery and anyone else that I mentioned are not allowed to answer these questions. However, exploring these questions can help us process our emotions, understand the past, and work towards a more just future. Thank you, dear Afterlife, for asking and allowing this opportunity, honey. I think I'm good for now at this very moment, unless MJ, Prince, James Brown, Whitney Houston, Lee are available. Afterlife told me they are entertaining right now. Okay, maybe later. I think this is a good start. So my next questions that I wrote down, a lot of times I'm in church and the question is asked, will a man rob God? Yes. Whose definition of God or gods? Not only will he, she will too. If allowed the chance, while you are sleeping or wide awake. Ladies and gentlemen, the ultimate heist has occurred. Blinders removed, legacies and birthrights were stolen. Inhumane. A powerful acronym. Inhumane perfectly captures the essence of the transatlantic slave trade and the atrocities committed by slave traders like Francisco Felix de Sosa. And I gave at the beginning what each of the acronyms resonated with as far as the brutal reality of slavery, which was injustice, negation of humanity, horrific treatment, unimaginable suffering, exploitation, manipulation, abuse, normalization of cruelty, erasures of identities and cultures. It serves as a poignant reminder of the inhumane treatment of enslaved people and the ongoing impacts of slavery. It's essential to acknowledge and confront this dark history to work towards a more just and equitable future. The word inhumane, etymology, I looked it up in the etymology dictionary, has a fascinating etymology. Here's a breakdown. In comes from Latin prefix in, meaning not, opposite of,
the library will be
to.
closing in 5 minutes.
Awesome.
Any materials to be checked out must be taken to the circulation desk at this time. If you need other assistance, please come to the information desk.
Human comes from the Latin word humanus, meaning human, earthly, or mortal. This is derived from humus, meaning earth or ground. Just in case you didn't know, you were the fifth element. You do now. You are earth, baby. So the Latin word inhumus literally means not human or contrary to human nature. The word inhuman entered the English language in the 15th century, initially meaning unlike human beings or lacking human quality. Over time, its meaning expanded to include connotations of cruelty, brutality, and lack of empathy. Today, inhumane describes actions, behaviors, or contradictions that violate basic human rights, dignity, or values. Etymology helps us understand how words evolve and take on new meanings, reflecting changes in human culture and society. You know why I went into detail? And I covered everything I did with everyone that I asked questions to. I have seen some of these conversations that y'all have had on the internet. Y'all have been a little complacent when it comes to voting. Now, that's a whole different story. I think most of us are aware what happens, that really people who vote, even if our ancestors did pass away for it and go through horrific incidents, we the people really don't have the vote. But we should still get out and vote anyway because that's what our ancestors fought for. Now, some of our ancestors. Now, the debate between Trump and Kamala, and I'm just going to be real brief. And this lovely Project 25 that we're just going to act like he's not involved. Project 2025. And I've got to review some of it, and I've listened to some interviews on it, and I've read a few things from Move On that they've been lighting up my inbox like it is Christmas in July. As an African American avatar, especially dark skin, we done went through a lot to get to this moment. For that to even be a consideration to vote for someone who's got policies that they've been wanting to place in the office for 2025 that goes against my human rights, including voting. That policy is free to read online. Matter of fact, I will post, it's a 1,000-page document. Okay. I won't be reading the document. I will just post on the cover art some of the things listed in the document. Yeah. Some of the main things. And then but I'll post the link in case you would like to read the entire document. But I thank you for tuning in, Love Tubers, and I thank you for speaking to me, Zay Divine, and asking me some questions, but I'm not going to mention it on this because there's a time and a place for everything, and this video is not it for his question. So I'm going to go get ready to get out into this rain, and I will see you all tomorrow. Yeah, so we can start back on the 4-hour work week. Sounds lovely. Mwah. I'm glad to see y'all again and be back. And thank you for watching.